What is up, you guys, and welcome to the Upper 90 YouTube soccer channel, where today we're predicting the Premier League table with the upcoming season, so stick around as we dive deeper into this. For those that don't know who I am, my name is Mike, huge Chelsea fan, so I may be a bit biased where I placed Chelsea today, but overall, I think this is a great prediction with the Premier League season. Now, if you are new to this channel, make sure to like and subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate that. That means a lot. So let's get it started. At number 20, I have Crystal Palace. Yes, I think Crystal Palace is going to do the worst job this upcoming season in the Premier League. I think they have too many issues, not even on the field, but off the field as well. This is Patrick Vieira's first stint in the Premier League as a manager. Great player, not going to take anything away from that, but as a manager, I'm not too sure if he's going to be the best fit for Crystal Palace. Again, they have a lot of issues. They had a lot of signings come in, but overall, I don't think they're enough to get them up and stay up in the Premier League. I think, again, they're going to have a lot of issues. I think Patrick Vieira is probably going to be let go halfway through the season, and they're just going to tank mid-season, and therefore, they're going to take the last position in the Premier League table. Now, at number 19, I have Newcastle. Newcastle is a team that I went back and forth on because last season, I think they would have got relegated had it not been for Willock, who scored so many crucial goals for Newcastle. If you go back and look at some of those games, Newcastle were saved by this player with all those late goals that he had where they won games for Newcastle or got draws for Newcastle. And I don't even know how many points he actually saved them, but I think because of that player, they were able to stay up last year, and again, they don't have him this year. Therefore, if they can't score goals, they're definitely dropping into the lower league. So again, Newcastle is at number 19. And the last team that I have for relegation is going to be Watford. Yes, of all the three teams coming up, I think Watford is only going to be the team that gets relegated. Yes, they are, again, a team that have been up in the Premier League before. They have some players that we know can do really well in the season. Deeney being one of them. We've seen him score multiple goals. But overall, I think Watford's defense isn't going to be enough for them to stay up. They're going to let a lot of goals in this season and lose a lot of crucial games to other clubs that are going to be close to them. And therefore, again, they're going to be the last team to get relegated. Now, where does that put us for the rest of the teams then? Well, at number 17, I have Norwich. Now, this is a really close margin between Norwich and Watford City because, again, I talked about how these players and teams are really close. Norwich, I think, is just going to scrape by this season due to the fact that they have a goal scoring machine such as Pukki, but they also have other players in their midfield that can really help this team. I think Todd Cantwell is going to have a stellar season this year. He's a very creative midfielder. He creates a lot of chances for the club and other players around him, and I think they can beat a few teams. As we saw last or 2 seasons ago, they were able to beat Manchester City, and again, they can beat any team on any given day, and therefore, I think they're going to have a few upset games this season. That's going to help them stay up this season. After Norwich, then I have Brentford. Yes, the other club that is being promoted. I think they're just a little bit better than Norwich, even though probably overall they're fairly similar, but I think they have some players that are a little bit better, and their goal scoring machine, Ivan, is again another great player to watch. I think people are really having him under the radar right now. If he can get firing right away with his club, I think Brentford can actually come out and win a lot of games in the beginning, possibly stall a little bit, get some momentum, and stay up in this league. Again, they have other players in their midfield. Their defense is pretty good as well, and even goalkeeping, that again, they are a team that really should be a threat to any club, minus maybe the top 4 teams, but overall, again, they can beat any team on any given day as well. After that, we have Southampton. Now, this one is a little bit tricky because I could actually see Southampton getting relegated as well. As we saw in the news recently, Danny Ings has left the club. He's now signed for Aston Villa, and they need to find someone that can score a lot of goals. While Che Adams is a great forward, I don't think he's the elite striker that they need to stay up. Yes, they have other players like James Ward-Prowse, who again is an absolute unit, but if he gets hurt, that could be huge and detrimental for this team. As we saw with their other midfield, Romelu, when he got hurt, yes, he had an ankle injury, so he should be back at the beginning of this season. But again, if they get hurt, they don't have a whole lot of depth, and that's going to be a problem for Southampton. They need to stay healthy, and if they can, yes, they'll stay up. But if they can't, they are definitely going to be struggling and not going to be able to beat any really teams in this season at all. At number 14, I have Burnley. Burnley is one of those teams that they're going to stick around in the Premier League. I don't really think they have that really great quality of players, but they don't have bad players either. They're a team that are just really going to grind out games for the most part. Yes, they have some goal scorers such as Wood, Barnes, but again, those players are hit and miss all the time, hot and cold, whatever you want to say. Some games, you're not even sure how they're playing for Burnley, that they should play for an elite team. And in other days, you're wondering how they're even in the Premier League because they've missed so many good chances. But overall, Burnley is a well-rounded team. Ben Mee, again, is a solid defender who usually keeps everything tight in defense. Again, it's another one of those situations. If he gets hurt and some of the other players get hurt, they could struggle, but overall they have a little more depth than some of the other teams below them, and I don't think they'll have a hard time making it into the Premier League and staying up this season. Now after them, I have Wolves. The reason why I have Wolves at 13 is because I don't really know how they're going to be doing with their new manager. Nuno left to go to Tottenham, and I think that is going to be a huge issue for Wolves. They've also lost a few players. They lost their goalkeeper, who ended up leaving the club, along with probably Adama Traore may be leaving yet, who knows, along with a few other players, though they do have Raul Jimenez coming back from that brutal injury they picked up last season, so I'm so grateful that he's going to be able to play. He is just an absolute machine when it comes to goal scoring. So as long as he can kind of find his pace, his rhythm again to score with this club, I don't think Wolves will have too hard of a time with staying up with this Premier season. But again, with the new manager, it could be a little tricky adapting to his philosophy and knowing exactly what they need to do, and that could be the hard part for Wolves. Then what I have next is Everton. Again, Everton also lost their manager, but they have such great talent around this squad that I don't think you really have to worry too much who the manager comes in. It's hard to say that Ancelotti really did elevate this team, but anyone that's coming in after him, I think is just going to be a step below, and therefore I think that's going to really show with some of these players that, yes, they're going to really push forward in the beginning of the season, but as the season goes, I think the manager is going to have a hard time keeping that motivation going with this club. But overall, if DCL can keep scoring, Richarlison, yes, he can score as well. In the midfield, I'm not too sure if James is going to be staying. If he does, he's also a threat. And even in their back, they have Digne, and they also have Coleman, a few other players, Mina, that again, they're just really good in defense, that they don't let up too many goals, which allows them to be a solid team that not many teams can break down throughout the season, and they get a lot of draws, which is why I think they're going to be a mid-table team this year. So that leaves us at number 11, and I have Brighton. Yes, Brighton, I think, is going to be one of the stellar teams this year. I think a lot of people are going to be shocked by me having them up so high in this table. But overall, they are a really good team. Yes, they lost one of their better players, Ben White, who went to Arsenal, but I don't think he was even their best defender. I think Lewis Dunk is such a better player. Yeah, he's obviously older, which is why he doesn't have that huge price tag to him, but even him being there still, I think is going to help their defense. They have the cash now to maybe splurge on another player, but even that, they have other players on this squad. I think Pascal Gross is also a really underrated player in the Premier League. I don't think people talk about him enough, and yes, he can really be one of the stars in this team. And again, I think with the season coming up, we'll see how great he is as a player as they progress through this season. I think they can really keep building on each and every game. If they can start off really hot, I think they can beat pretty much any team, minus maybe City, United, Chelsea, and Liverpool, but anyone besides that, I think they can beat any day, and therefore I think they're right there, being right in the middle of the club or right in the middle of the table, and therefore again I think this is a better spot for them to be this year. All right, so let's round off the top 10 then. At number 10, I have West Ham. Yes, West Ham is a team that did really well this past season, but I don't think they're going to be able to do this I don't think they're going to be doing the exact same thing that they did last season. I think David Moyes, yes, is a great manager, but I think it was a bit of a fluke with this club and how well they did, and I think therefore they're going to drop. They're going to have more games this season, which I think is going to fatigue them. They don't have the depth, and therefore I think they're going to struggle in the Premier League season this year. Next on the list, I have Villa. Now, Villa just lost Jack Grealish, which I'm not too sure if I should have him this high now, because again, he was one of the star players, but they have brought in other players to maybe surround this club and be a better team. They brought in Danny Ings, again, is a known striker who can score a lot of goals. Obviously, he's going to play alongside Ollie Watkins, who's probably going to play out on the wing now, and possibly Boyenda, who again came from Norwich. So they've been signing players, but not only those guys, they have other players on their team that really do play pretty well. They have Cash out on the wing as well. He's really good at attacking and defending, and I think he's able to maybe put in some crosses for Danny Ings, who then can score those goals. And I think Aston Villa should be okay this season, even after losing their captain, their star, Jack Grealish. Therefore, I think 9th place is realistic for Aston Villa. At number 8, I think all the fans are going to hate me for this, but I think that is where Arsenal are going to finish. Arsenal right now are just in shambles, I think. Yes, they have the players they need, but they seem to not be able to fit all these pieces in the right position. Now, if they can definitely be a lot higher up. I think 5th place is realistic if they can get everything working for them. I don't see them pushing into the top 4 just because of all the other clubs around the top 4. But overall, I think Arsenal have too many issues. Arteta is trying to put a lot of philosophy into this club. I think they're in the rebuilding phase right now, so don't get me wrong, they are definitely a good team, but I think in the next couple seasons we'll see them get better and better and better. Yes, they are investing in a lot of younger players, and again, I think it's going to take maybe a season or two. As we saw with Liverpool a couple seasons ago, I think Arsenal can do the same thing with the players that they have. They have to trust in Arteta. If they can do that, again, they'll keep building and get better and better. But I don't think this season is going to be their season. So it may be up in the air if Arteta does stay then because of a poor season. But overall, I think this is a fair assessment at number 8. At number 7, I have Spurs. Yes, I think Spurs are just going to be above Arsenal. I don't think, again, they're really going to be the team that everyone is expecting. Now, if Harry Kane stays, this is a whole different story, but I think Harry Kane is still leaving. Now, prior to filming this video, there are still rumors he may leave, he may not. If Harry Kane stays, I think they can push again up a little bit higher, but if he leaves, I think it's too close to the end of the window that they're not going to be able to bring in other players to maybe suit that position. Yes, they have other players that can score goals, such as Son. They brought in Gill as well, but overall, if Harry Kane's not there, this team is going to struggle. And as we know, their defense is terrible as well. Their defense is getting a lot older. They need to really upgrade a lot of those positions, and they haven't done that yet. Maybe they still will with this window, but if they don't do that, they're going to have a lot of goals be conceded, and therefore they're going to lose a lot of important games and a lot of close matches, and therefore I think this is a good spot for them. So right above Tottenham, I then have Leeds United. I think Leeds is one of those teams, again, that really can beat any team on any given day. They are such a solid unit. They play really together as one team. The pressure that they put on teams allows them to pretty much dictate a lot of games and put pressure on even harder teams that they don't usually think that they can beat, such as Chelsea, City, United, and Liverpool. Now, as we've seen, they can score a lot of goals. Their only problem is they concede a lot of goals. So if they can tighten up their defense, they can be a really top team in the Premier League season. Again, they can score pretty much from anywhere, whether it's a cross, free kick, one-on-one, counterattack, pretty much any area of the pitch, they can score a goal, and therefore I think they're a team that can really be solid this season. So at number 5 then, I think, again, I'm going to have some fans that will be upset with me, but I think Manchester United. Yes, Manchester United is going to finish out of the top 4 this season. I think they're going to just fall short just a little bit. Same thing with some other clubs. They're going to have too many games, and therefore I think they're going to get fatigued out, probably pick up a few injuries. Bruno Fernandes has been playing so many games. I don't wish it upon any player, but I think at some point he's going to run himself dry and therefore may pick up an injury or have maybe just a bad spell for a couple games, and that is going to be huge for Manchester United, depending on when that spell comes, because it could be a very important time when they're playing other big clubs, and if that happens at the wrong time or possibly at the right time, depending on what team you cheer for, that could be huge for Manchester United, and I think they're going to have a problem. Yes, they brought in some good players that can really help out this club, but again, I think it's going to be a hard time for them to transition some of those players and also get the attacking mindset they need with all their attacking forwards, and therefore I think 5th place is where they are going to end this season. So at number 4 then, I have Leicester City. I think Leicester is a team that really is going to be hungry for the top 4 this season. The fact that they've fallen out of the top 4 in the last couple of weeks and the past couple seasons means that they really want this. they're a team that can really do it on any given day, but for some reason at the end of the year they keep falling off just a little bit. But I think this is going to be the year that Brendan Rodgers can really get the team to work the way he wants to. If they can stay healthy, they again are a team that can beat any team, and therefore I think they are going to finish in the top 4. Vardy can score pretty much in any given day. Maddison's a great midfielder. Tielemans is a great player. Even in the defense, they're really solid. Yes, Fofana did suffer that really bad injury, but again, they have other players that can really step up. That might be their only issue though, because if Fofana doesn't come back, their depth is going to be lacking in the defense, and that could be an issue if some other players pick up any injuries. Number 3. Again, we're going to go with some controversy here. I'm having Manchester City at number 3. Now, I know most people are thinking Manchester City is going to win the league this season, hands down. It's on paper. It's all done. Don't even talk about it. But I think they're going to have a hard time transitioning all these players into it. And I think they put more focus on the championship because they lost to Chelsea this past season. Chelsea are the champions of Europe, and I think that is their main goal. Yes, they care about the Premier League, but I think they're more focused on the Champions League, and therefore I don't think they're going to care as much if they go further in the Champions League. And if they can win that, that's a success for them this year. If they win the title, obviously that's a success for them too, but again, their eyes are going to be more on that trophy and not the Premier League season, which is why I think they're going to lose a few key games and a few important matches, whether that's to Liverpool, Chelsea, Manchester United, Leicester, and therefore I think 3rd is where they're going to end this season. Number 2, I hate to say it, being a Chelsea fan, but I don't think this is going to be Chelsea's year. I think they're going to fall short this season and fall in the 2nd place. Yes, they have the players that they need, but again, it's the same thing with Manchester City, is that they're going to have so many of these players that they're trying to incorporate, and I think they're also going to be focusing on the Champions League as well to try to win the trophy again, to have a back-to-back run with it. Now, like I said, most clubs obviously want to really focus on this, but Chelsea, again, had the firepower to make it to the final. They made it last year, and they won it. Therefore, that's going to be one of their many goals, to win it again, and therefore I think they're going to forget about the title for the Premier League, and I think that's going to be their downfall. At some point, they're going to miss a few games where they're not going to be able to score, and therefore it's going to be very close. So that leaves number 1 then, and that is Liverpool. I think Liverpool, if they stay healthy, Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez are such an absolute unit in the back that they don't let up hold off goals. In the midfield, as we know, they're really rock solid there as well. Henderson is one of the better players in this league. I know a lot of players give him a hard time because he's a sideway passer, but again, his work rate, what he can do in the midfield is just very unique for Liverpool, but it really works for their club. And obviously up top, Firmino, Mane, and Salah, if those guys can keep firing each and every game, they're just unstoppable, and therefore I think Liverpool are going to win it by just a point or 2. I think 3rd place, 2nd place, and 1st place are only going to be a differential between 5 points. I think, again, Liverpool are just going to sneak by Chelsea at the end to win it, and I think Chelsea are just going to sneak past City to take 2nd place. So that is all I have for you today. That is my prediction on the Premier League coming up this season. Comment down below what you think, who you think is going to win, who you think is going to get relegated. I'm really curious to know what you think. Now, again, if you haven't, make sure to like and subscribe down below. I greatly appreciate that. That means a lot. Also, I want to see some of the hatred towards Chelsea, towards Manchester City, towards Liverpool, because I know there's fans out there that don't like those clubs. So again, comment down below what you think, and we will see you next time.